Good. How was everybody's weekend?
It was I.
That was great.
Was all right, Jeff?
Yeah, I didn't went out.
Yeah.
I saved money.
Off the chain as he got back from Colombia.
Oh yeah. All right. So it being the last day today of the boot camp, we've discussed a lot over the last 14 days so far. Gone over technical analysis, we've gone over psychology. I feel like we've covered pretty much everything that I've wanted to actually cover. Last boot camp that we did, or the last webinar that we had, we discussed technical analysis and kind of did a review on technical analysis. So today I wanted to kind of do the same, but with trading psychology, obviously. Now we've talked a lot throughout trading psychology, you know, what it is to kind of manage your emotions in trading and find different ways to be able to manage those emotions, and how one basic emotion could cause either a great chain of, how do I put this, fuck ups, or you could do very well by managing that one basic emotion. So, you know, we've covered pretty much greed, we've covered FOMO, we've covered fear. Now, when it comes to like trading, also money management is something that can also be very subjective. Money management, really depending on the trader's risk tolerance, will also depend on their drawdown size and the returns. So one thing that I want you guys to keep in mind moving forward, because we're no longer going to be having these private sessions, although you guys will still have access to the day trading institution webinars, which we start again tomorrow, which you can of course ask me questions at any point in time. By the way, everybody in here in the day trading institution and in the day trading institution webinars?
Oh,
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So you guys have literally hours upon hours of content inside of the day trading institution, inside of the day trading institution webinars. Everybody has access to the day trading institution course.
Yep.
I'm gonna assume that's a yes.
Yep.
Right. So even if you guys just watch all the webinars, because there's literally hours upon hours of webinar content in the day trading institution, which moving forward, what I recommend you guys start doing is just kind of watch one webinar a day, if possible. I know that's a lot of work, but again, that's going to be work that separates you from the 90% of traders who don't succeed in this market, because you'll be able to pick up on so many things that we may have kind of missed on the webinar or on the bootcamp, or that you may have actually not picked up on the bootcamp itself. Typically, like when you go back and you rewatch something, especially if you start rewatching the bootcamp videos, you may pick up on things that you may have not caught on the first time we discussed that specific lesson. And you know, that doesn't go for just like technical analysis and like price action, but also goes for trading psychology as well. You're gonna find pretty much a bunch of like nuggets everywhere throughout all of the webinars in the course itself. And then obviously all the webinars that are to come. So if you guys can just kind of dedicate, you know, 45 an hour of your day to just kind of either rewatch one of the bootcamp videos or rewatch one of the webinar videos, I highly recommend you do that. You may want to also rewatch either one of the webinars or one of the bootcamp videos right before the trading session to kind of like get your mind cleared, so you kind of see how I read price, and then you can kind of go on from there. So you can try and make your own analysis based off of like my hypothesis on like market directions and things like that. And again, like when it comes to like the summer period, because now that we are in the summer period of trading, it's going to be a very choppy market. Like if you look at gold, look at GJ right now, you know, things are kind of moving sideways, and these are going to be the more difficult times to make, especially like a larger return in the market. Not saying it's not possible, it's just a little bit more difficult. So you want to be as picky and as like kind of subjective as possible to what trading setups that you're actually going to be able to take. You want to be able to only pick the highest quality setups possible, so then you can again lower the amount of risk you're taking on your account. Because at the end of the day, right, your job is to preserve as much of your own personal capital as possible. Let's say you go into the market with $50,000. Your job, and essentially the way I view things, is how can I protect my 50 grand as best as I possibly can while also making a potential return. Now, the way I've always seen trading, and really like almost any other investment that I've done, is if I'm going to go into an investment with 100 grand, let's call it a trading account. If I'm going to go into a trading account with $100,000, I want to try and protect these $100,000 as best as I possibly can, right? So I'm going to be playing it very, very low risk in the beginning of that trading account. And as my trading account grows, that's when I start to add more risk because again, I'm just simply leveraging my profits. I was literally having a conversation with another trader literally about this yesterday, and how I like to go about like, trying to grow an account very quickly is, let's say I'll go into the market with $50,000. Initially, I'll start off by only risking 1 or 2% until I'm on about a like 10% gain. Once I hit that 10% gain, that's when I'll start looking to increase my risk. So instead of taking 1 or 2% per position, I may take a 3% trade, then a 4% trade, and really start looking at just kind of risking more of my profit versus what my initial deposit actually was. So if I'm in profit $10,000 on a $50,000 account, I may start trading at a $2,500 risk. And again, you have to keep in mind the concept. I'm risking $2,500 to potentially make $575, even $10,000, because that's what I'm looking to put my money behind. I'm not looking really to put money behind a trade that's only going to make me $2,500. Although that's going to happen, right? There's going to be days where you're going to break even, or there's going to be days where you may not hit your initial profit target. That's fine. It's part of trading. You have to understand and accept the randomness in the market as well. There's going to be days that that's going to happen. Now, like when it comes to like initially, you're not at that consistently profitable stage, which you may not even realize you're at that consistently profitable stage until you start looking at your returns over the last few months. You see that January, you're up 10%. You see that the next month, you're up 15%. Then you see that the month after that, you may only be up 2%. By the time you look at it, you're up, I don't know, let's call it 20% in the span of 3 months. You're there at that point in time, you're already consistently profitable because month after month after month, you've made a consistent return on your trading account. Now, when we talk about returns, like everybody's going to have a different view on returns, what sustainable trading returns are, what good trading returns are, what bad trading returns are. Ultimately, that's up to you as a trader to really decide. At the end of the day, as long as you're making a positive return on your trading account, it's a good return. It doesn't matter, right? As long as you're not in the red, you're still good. It doesn't matter. Even if it's only 5%, even if it's only 10%, because again, you've now removed yourself from the 90% of traders. So don't think, especially like on social media or Discord or any trading forum, just because this guy made $15,000 and $100,000, that you're not doing good because you only made $2,000 on a $100,000 account. As long as you're in the green, you're doing good, and your job is to maintain yourself in the green as much as you possibly can. Now, even a professional trader nowadays is, still going to have a red month. Don't think that's not possible, right? Just because you're consistently profitable doesn't mean you might not find those losing streaks where you may be negative for the week, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even 4 weeks. There's times where, I also end the month in negative after being in a profit, right? And that's going to happen, right? You're going to have months out of the years where you may just break even, you may lose a little bit, but your goal is to never lose a lot. That's kind of what I'm trying to picture for you guys, right? Really, a trade should only end in either a big win, a small win, break even, or a small loss. It should never end with a huge loss. It should never end with a big loss. So if you could just kind of maintain yourselves again within that box where your trade is going to either end with a big win, a small win, break even, or a small loss, then you're going to be doing a lot more, and you're going to be way more productive than anybody else who's just consistently trying to flip accounts, or anybody who's really trying to move themselves into that consistent profitability. Now, does anybody have anything they would like me to go over, anything they would like me to discuss, really? Because at the end of the day, like, I want to get your guys' concerns or anything you may have off of the table already. Right? What'd you say?
Are you gonna come out with another EA?
No, I'm not.
Are you gonna be able to explain about that a little bit, teach it a little bit?
EAs?
Yeah. Or a tip of which one is the best one to buy that you would recommend if you bought it from MQ5? MQL5?
I would kind of focus more on your own personal trading first. And then later on, you can look at, looking into like EAs and algorithms, things along those lines. Because at the end of the day, you want to solidify your own trading and start making money based off of your own trading before you move on to either an algorithm or an expert advisor, whatever you're kind of looking to verge off into, you know? Cause like, thing about like EAs and algorithms, that's like a completely different ballgame. So if you're trying to focus and do both at the same time, you're kind of like not prioritizing what should be prioritized. It's either gonna be, okay, you know, the route in trading I want to take is algorithms and expert advisors, or the route in trading I want to take is, you know, the manual trading route. And you want to put all of your time and energy into that one route. So then you're not kind of like average. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything they will want me to discuss, any topic at all? Everyone's kind of like, good.
Yo, question about the uploads. Sorry, I missed the last one. I was on night shift.
Yeah.
Day 4 and 5 and 14, will that be up soon?
14's already up. I'm still having troubles with day 4 and day 5. We don't have the files here.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think, dude, I got some nuggets out of day 4. That's why I was just curious if, do you think there's a possibility it will be up eventually? No rush, just,
yeah, I mean, the thing is like, I don't know why, when it came down to like Zoom, right? The way that day 4 and day 5 were set up, they weren't compressed. So when I did try and uncompress them, or convert them into an actual video format, it sent like 4 like 15 or 20-minute videos. So then I'm trying to figure out how I can just kind of put it all into one video. Maybe I could just try to do it here.
I got you, bro. I appreciate it, man. Like, no, I know you got a lot going on. I was just curious.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get that up. Obviously after day 15, because day 15 will be the easiest for me to convert.
Cool. Thanks, bro.
Yeah,
Should we do day 4 then? I'm joking. Record everything.
let me check. Oh, right here. This is day 4, I believe. Check. 1 second. So everybody can see on the Kajabi day, pretty much everything except for day 15, obviously, and then day 14. Day 14 should be up already.
Yeah, 14's there.
All right, cool. So it's only 4 and 5 that I'm missing.
Yeah, hey Raul, can you hear me?
Yeah,
All right, is Forex Day Trading Accelerator the same as Day Trading Institute?
yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
Okay, because on the label it says Forex Day Trading Accelerator. Then when I click it, it says Welcome Day Trading Institution online course. So
Yeah.
it's the same. Okay, got it. Just want to make sure I got everything.
Yeah, you know, there's different like packages that were released, so they're just labeled differently, but ultimately it's just all the same thing.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
That little mini crash course you did was really good.
Which one?
It's like a 3 or 4 day mini crash course that you put up on DTI.
Yeah, I see it, it's here. If you guys
Yeah,
give you access to that as well, it kind of just covers like the basics, of like a 4-week class.
Oh,
no,
you-
yeah, it's
you-
like super packed in. It was like really good.
Do you
I got it.
update? Do you update video just now?
What's
DTI?
up?
What does a new video you put in DTI?
No, like,
It was a while ago. It was, I
it-
don't know.
this was like before the DTI launch, I did like a 4-week kind of class where we covered one topic, one class, so there's like,
Oh, okay.
if you guys want, I can also give you guys access to that. I have no problem giving you guys access to that. Just let me know.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's right.
Okay,
Hey, Raul,
yeah,
sorry if anybody asked this already, but is this tonight's the last class?
yeah, today's the last one.
And we're going over psychology?
Yeah, mainly I kind of want to cover, we can go over anything you guys want, really. But I would like to just cover psychology as much as we possibly can.
Okay, are you doing a breakdown for us?
Do you guys like a breakdown?
Yes.
GJ?
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Did you do SPX if possible?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's start with GJ since I'm already here. So, new week, obviously, you got to start off on the weekly time frame, then work your way down. It is the 10th of July so far. So pretty much what we could see, analyzing last week and how the last week ended. This is just an indecision candle. Notice how with this last week, there's a big move to the downside. There's also a big move to the upside, but ultimately price closed near kind of where the open was, which shows us that there was a lot of indecision with direction on price last week. Now, the concepts are pretty much all the same, right? Looking at the daily time frame, we know that 164, 131 is resistance and 161, 840 is support, right? Now, when it came to this daily candlestick close, what it kind of seems like initially at first is momentum for the buyers is starting to slow down. But if we pay attention to the previous daily wick, what we can see is initially a huge move to the downside, price retest 164, 840, and then completely go up. And by the end of that trading day, price close, I want to say probably within the middle of the highest high to the open. So I would say this is a pretty strong bullish candlestick, especially taking into consideration this big rejection that I had towards support. But ultimately, going down to the 4-hour time frame, price is still trading under resistance at 164, 131. So taking buys right now wouldn't be the smartest option. And going over kind of like what we spoke about on the last breakdown that we did, which was day 14. One thing that we kind of spoke about, or that I had pretty much spoken about, was I would like to see price maintain above this 161, 840 area. And I believe price was like trading around here at this point in time. Right, the best thing again to do, one thing that I had said was we were analyzing around like Asian session. The best thing to do is come back to the market and look at what the market looks like during London, New York session, because those are going to be the best times to look for possible trade opportunities, right? So essentially, price did come back down into the zone, but realistically, this is not a trade that I would have taken because of the timing, right? The timing just to me isn't there, and especially in the summer period, timing is something that I take into consideration the majority of the time, especially because there's already going to be less volume and things are going to be a little bit choppier. So this played out during Asian session, but again, the concept is still the same. If price rejects our area of support, we'll look for price to come up into the next area of resistance. Now, where could you have possibly looked for resistance, right? You had this hour or 30-minute area of resistance right here, right, where we had a high form. And then we had our other area, which is our more major area of previous resistance that's based off the daily, the 4-hour time frame, which is 164, 124, which we did almost see price reach that area. It was about 17 pips off, but I would say this is a pretty almost accurate analysis. Didn't get there to the pip, but it's again the same concept. You have gap, you have your touch, and then you have your overlap. So I would consider this to be a gap of 164, 150, let's kind of call it. Price initially ended up coming all the way back down to 161, 800, which again, you have to keep in mind the concept is still the same. If price is trading back above support, or if price is trading above support, you either wait for a break and retest to look to sell or look to buy, depending on the trend, depending on volume, depending on where you see price kind of going at overall. Then we saw price pretty much pump all the way back up into resistance. So at this point in time, we could look for price to come up into 164, 100, 164, pretty much resistance, where we could then look for price to kind of just reject. Would I see a rejection for tonight? It's definitely possible. Realistically though, I would like to see price come back up into this area and retest it before looking to actually take a position. Now, I'm kind of like debating if I kind of want to adjust this a little bit, move it down, but really ultimately doesn't make too much sense. Now, one thing that we also have to keep in mind is that this structure could potentially change and make higher highs. So if I'm going to be looking to buy, again, realistically, the only really thing I'd like to do, because I'm not going to buy right at resistance, I'll wait for price to break resistance, pull back, pretty much the same thing that price did here. Notice the break above resistance, the pull back, and then the continuation up. I'll wait for the same thing to happen just over here, because again, that increases the probability for price to go in a direction versus just taking a buy when price is right under resistance. That is pretty much a super risky move, is taking a buy right at that 4-hour and daily level of resistance. So instead, we wait for the break, we wait for the pullback, and we wait for previous resistance to hold as support. So if you're going to be looking for buys, that's the best option for you to do. If you're going to be looking for sells, again, the concept is the same. We want to wait for that 4-hour to come up, test the area, reject. Once the 4-hour shows us that rejection, we'll hop down to the frame, the hour time frame, and then look for some form of a sell signal, which could be in the form of a bearish engulfing candlestick or a bearish variation candlestick pattern, which ultimately, that's kind of up to you as the trader on how you want to take that lower time frame short. Anybody have any questions on GJ? Oh, and if GJ does end up going short, obviously the first area that I'm going to look for GJ to actually go down to is going to be this area of resistance, where it's kind of like this intraday level, but there was definitely indecision at this intraday level. Notice the break above, the pullback, the retest, and then you had a huge move up as well. Then when price actually dumped all the way back into this intraday level, there was some indecision there. So this is most likely where I'll look to take my first take profit here, where I may just close the entire position. Or if price breaks through right away, then we'll look for price to come into 161,840. So any questions on GJ? Or no, I can move on to the next pair. Okay, so now let's go to gold. So gold essentially is just kind of consolidating as of right now. The weekly time frame had a strong close under 1755 support, which is a pretty good sign for price to continue to trade lower. Now, if price does continue to trade lower, I'll look for price to come into its next area of support, which is going to be 1722, where we definitely may see some indecision at that area. Now, realistically, since gold had a huge move last week, I would like to see a pullback into 1755 previous support, where we could then look for price to hold as resistance, and then we could look for price to go from 1755 all the way down into 1752. Especially that gold, especially you look at the hour time frame, price is literally just consolidating. I wouldn't even be too comfortable taking a break and retest setup, especially that price just had like this huge move to the downside, and there's been no real like decision on whether price is going to continue to go up or continue to go down. This is why we see this consolidation here. Ultimately, if you do want to trade gold, you could wait for this hour time frame break and retest, but obviously price is in a range right now. So we have the highs of the range being, let's call it here, we have the lows of the range being right about here. So realistically, you have two options, and this is the way I would look at trading gold. One is you wait for that break and retest to go short, and then you could go short into 1722. The second option is you could take a little bit of a riskier sell at resistance, maybe have a stop loss here, take profit down there. That would be fine. But that's not something I would do, just because, again, if price is coming all the way up to here, we would like to see this bearish momentum continue to slow down. So realistically, I would kind of wait out and not take this position here. I'd want to play it a little bit safer, especially since price is kind of consolidating. I would like to see the break, the retest, and for price to continue to go down from there. Now, if price breaks above resistance, which is, these kind of hour highs over here, then we can expect price to go to 1755, because if price breaks above resistance, it's going to make new highs. And then you have to ask yourselves the question, where can we see price ultimately stop or come to an area where there's going to be some indecision, and that area is going to be its previous major support, which is going to be 1755.495. Then at that point in time, realistically, we would have to kind of look at the daily, the 4-hour time frame to see how these time frames are playing out at this area. If the daily comes all the way up to here, I would like to see the daily actually close and reject this previous area of support. So then the next following trading day, I can expect the continued sell. I wouldn't really expect for price to come all the way up to this daily area of support and then just automatically reject and go down into 1722. I would expect this daily area to kind of reject, give us a strong rejection here, and then we could then look for the next day to give us some form of like a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern. That's kind of how I would like to play this out here, and then look for a price to actually play out, kind of like what happened over here at this area. Price came down, we had a rejection on the daily. Notice how it didn't go to support right away, right? The next day even came, consolidated, rejected again, and then the following day after that, price dumped. So, I'll kind of be waiting for something to form like this on the daily time frame on gold over here. I know it's going to be a little bit more of like a patience game. I mean, you could look for scalps, but then at the same time, just continuing to short that area of the day. I can't even go back on the 30-minute, but just continuing to, constantly take those scalps is not something that I would be a little bit more into. So in the meantime, I'd rather, be trading a different pair like GJ, while gold actually sets up for that bigger move. And that's when, the quality versus quantity comes in. I'd rather not take those kind of scalps and really just look for that one bigger move on the 4 hour, based off the 4 hour time frame. Anybody have any questions on gold?
So give me a second, sorry, let me pull out my chart. So you basically you waited for the 1755 reject.
I would like to see a 1755 rejection. Do I think that's gonna happen? Ultimately, you never know. But the way price is playing out right now, like this is very weak bullish momentum. And then we have big rejections to the upside. So, most likely if price starts to break under the previous daily open, which is kind of like this minor area of support, it's most likely going to continue to go down from there. So, gold tonight definitely could just continue to keep trading lower. I mean, at this point in time, it's kind of just like a waiting game. I'd rather just kind of play a little bit safer, especially in these summer conditions. And really, like, I have a lot going on in my life right now, like I'm about to move and everything else. So I don't really like taking like trades are like, most likely it will happen, but the probability for a pullback is definitely there. And me just looking at like my current situation, right? I rather wait until I already moved and I'm settled and my mind can be clear as day again, right? So, I most likely will not be trading until I'm actually done moving. Maybe like next week is when I intend on like moving and stuff. So once I'm done moving, then, I'll put my head back in the game and then make better decisions, I feel, because like,
Yeah.
and these are also things that, you want to look at in your life. Do you have a lot going on in your life? And if you do, you may want to stay away from the market for a little bit. Again, preserve your capital as best as possible because, I have a lot going on right now and it's kind of like, to add trading on top of that, I'd rather just kind of wait until things calm down a little bit, which is only a week. Me not trading for a week is not going to do me a lot, but it could save me a lot. And especially that I'm already up like 120K for July. I'm not really inclined to want to make, more money, put my money that I just made at risk in the market, so you got to look at your situation as well. If there's a lot going on in your life and your life is a little bit hectic, I recommend you just slow down, take a few steps back, continue to analyze the market, right? Don't just fully cold turkey, just, not even look at the market. Continue to analyze, continue to make hypothesis and look at how your hypothesis played out. But me personally, like at a point in time like this, I'm just not gonna trade until I'm more settled,
All right.
Those are also things that you want to take into consideration of your own life. And if you have a lot going on, keep that in mind.
I got another question, GJ. I'm gonna trade GJ. Can you go a 1 hour time frame?
Yeah.
That last rejection of that zone you got in the bottom?
Yeah, right here.
Yes. Well, where it reject and it touched the zone. I know it's aggressive, but when you took a buy there, it's super aggressive, but
Honestly, I definitely would have taken a buy. After that hour time frame close, what's the 4 hour look like? Because the 4 hour close rejected. Yeah, I would have taken a buy like probably right when this hour candlestick actually closed. Because although it is aggressive, we look at the previous 4 hour candlestick, price came all the way into resistance or into support and rejected and closed quite nicely. So, I don't know if I would have waited for the actual engulfing because the way my mindset would have been is, okay, well, if price came all the way down to here and it already rejected, I might as well look to take a long position, maybe somewhere along this area. Maybe I would have waited a little bit longer, probably going down to the 5 minute time frame. Look at what the 5 minute was looking like, right? So I believe the rejection is maybe like somewhere around here, right? My whole theory behind, taking a buy like after rejection like this is I can decrease my risk as much as I possibly can. So like that's like a 42 pip and it's still a pretty big stop loss, especially like for GJ. That's like a safe stop is like 42 pips. A tight stop is like 25 pips there. So I could have looked for a stop loss between 25 to let's call it 40 pips, 42 pips on the safer end, and then look for a possible reward of 194 to about 200 pips on the low end. I wouldn't even have taken this position if that was the case. We could have looked for 1.3 to 3 times our risk situation. So definitely a position I most likely would have taken.
yeah, I've been taking trade like that for the past few weeks. Rejection, big zone, and taking buys like that.
Yeah,
Hey, Raul, under the assumption you took that trade right here, where would you deploy, at what time would you deploy your fibs to trail your stop loss at 50?
honestly, like, I don't even think I would have trailed my stop loss because like, look at the volume the candlesticks actually close, like. This candlestick closed great, so you hold. This candlestick closed great, so you hold. This candlestick was a loss of momentum, so it's kind of like, okay, where if price is starting to slowly lose momentum, right, we're approaching this area of resistance, we're gonna pull back to, could definitely pull back into here, where we can then look for price to continue to go up. So if my entry point was right here, right, and price is all the way up here already, let's kind of call it, it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna move my stop loss to about a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, because at least I'm securing what I initially risked, and I'm giving price more than enough room to pull back on me, give it this retest rejection. And on top of that, this rejection, right, I'm giving it a bunch of space for price to even go under, possibly form a wick, and then continue to go up, right? So, me being up almost 3 times my risk and giving back, a 1-to-1 or only securing a 1-to-1 is a lot. But again, that's just kind of how I would trail my stop in this situation here.
Mhm.
But then, price continue to go up after that, and then, my initial like 3 turned into a 4 times my risk situation. At this point in time, once I'm already up 4 times my risk, I would have most likely ended up closing already. If not, then, there's like so many things I would have possibly looked at, especially like trading live. Like I would have seen that this is an entire area of resistance here. I would have for sure had this marked off because this would have been an area where I could have looked to take profit at, especially seeing like this 30-minute rejection at this area. It's like, okay, I'm definitely going to trail my stops into the next area of support. Or it's like, okay, you could have moved your stop loss under this low, you can move your stop loss under this 30-minute low here as well. Then price blew above that. Then what did we have here? We had a break, a retest, and then price continued to go up. So, I mean, it's like very subjective, and I'm talking like in hindsight because I can already see what happened. But then again, like you go to the 4-hour time frame, this 4-hour time frame is still fluctuating, and the way this 4-hour time frame is engulfing, right? I would have most likely just continued to hold the position. But by the time like it got to here, and then you see this tested candle, it's like, okay, price is pretty much right there to my target, which is only 20 pips away. I might as well just close and secure. Let's call it 168 pips.
Nice.
This is like one of those trades where it's like best case scenario, literally went right to targets, Not every trade is always gonna go right to targets, but I mean, GJ's been moving pretty steeply, pretty strongly, I wanna say. There's definitely a lot of volume. Even though we're in the summer period, I mean, this was like, if you look at the major moves, this was 300 pips to the downside. This was, let's call it from this point to this point, 200 pips to the upside. Even if you sold, that's 200 pips to the downside, then another 200 pips to the upside. So GJ's been moving pretty well. And gold too, gold's been moving pretty well too.
On that rejection candle, how much you think you would have like risked on that trade? What percentage?
Or margin.
Ultimately, it depends, right? So it depends on the account that I'm trading. And I mean, it depends on the situation. I mean, like, I don't know, like percentage wise, I probably would have gone, and also depends, I mean, there's so many things that depends on my account size. Like, let's say if I were to trade on the account that I'm normally trading on right now, I would have maybe put in like, if I'm up 125,000 for the month already, I would have risked maybe $25,000, which on the account, that's. Let's see. On the current account, damn, that's like. Because at this point in time, like, I'm not really all too much looking at like the specific percentage. I'm kind of looking at like the monetary, because my entire account is literally just profit. Like I've already withdrew my initial balance and the entire account is literally just profit. So that would have been roughly 3.12% of my account.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You're
Yeah.
just leveraging your profits.
Yeah, and I could also like be like, yeah, I could risk like 100K, also, and I'm still up even if I lose that trade 700,000. But again, like the way I see things, if I just made 125K, I want to try and preserve that 100K profit for the month so far. And I'm gonna try and pretend like I only have 100K in my account balance for the entire month. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Try not to go under that as much as possible. So for me to lose 125K, risking 25K a trade, I have to lose like 5 trades in a row.
That's true. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, which in hindsight might sound like a lot, but it's only 3% of my account right now.
Yeah.
Now, let's say like, I don't know, something I want to challenge myself to is starting off like on 100K account. So when I move, I'm gonna deposit 100K into an account. And let's say like that would have been like the first trade on the 100K account. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have gone crazy with the risk, maybe only like 2.5%. Which I mean, it's right there, 3% too, but there's obviously great risk to reward potential on this specific position. I would have made risk 2.5% and gained 10%. And if I would have taken this trade on my account, I would have risked 3% and gained, call it 12.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, like ultimately, like the risk is up to you. I mean, your trading finances, what risk you're comfortable with. What's more important is this is my stop loss. This is my entry, right? From my entry to my stop loss, I'm willing to lose this amount and I'm not going to lose sleep over risking this amount.
Yeah,
Then you can make decisions more logically versus if you have 50K in your account and you're risking 25,000, you're going to be like a crackhead on your phone looking at every single tick, probably not sleeping at all. You'll be up for the next.
you can never forget like that.
You'll literally be in your office, like staring at every tick, looking at your P&L, go from, dollar in profit, dollar negative profit, literally like, and you're not going to come out of your office till you close your position. And to be honest, you probably won't even be able to hold to like your take profit. I mean, it depends on the person because I've been put in situations like that before where I'm really risking a trade. And although, I was fine risking that amount that I was risking on the position, I wasn't like genuinely accepting the fact that I could potentially lose that money. And there's been times where maybe I hold for too long. And it hit my target, went past it, but then went under my target and ended up closing at my target again. I mean, it just depends on the person. Because I see myself like, because the problem with like trading high risk too is once a position starts going against you, you start hoping that it'll go back into your favor, especially like when you're trading like really high risk, right? You start hoping that it'll go back to your favor. And you're like, you know what? Let me just kind of move my stop loss a little bit lower. And that's where all the other emotional mistakes come in. So like when you are used to like a certain amount of money, I guess, that you normally deal with on like a day-to-day basis, not even necessarily just in like your trading account, but like if you're somebody that, you play with bigger numbers, it's going to be a lot easier for you to be like, okay, I have no problem losing 3 grand, 4 grand, 5 grand, 10 grand on this position. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I have other investments on the side where I'm dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars. It'll be a lot more easy and accepting for you. And trading also builds that like thick skin as well. Over time, if you're somebody that's like a very like high risk trader and you've blown accounts after accounts, you start building like that skin because you've seen those fluctuations in your P&L, you've gone through those emotions. And although you've cost yourself probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, just building that like thick skin later on when you're like, okay, this is not working. Let me try and do low risk, right? Or medium risk at least. It's gonna be like, bro, this is kind of like cake, to be honest. Like I'm not really stressing out too much about, risking $2,000. I've blown $30,000 accounts before in the span of a single trade, so like everybody's situation is very different and everyone's gonna have a very different like journey throughout like their trading career. And then, your journey is what's gonna make you ultimately the trader that you are. And then like other aspects in your life too is what's gonna make you the trader that you are as well. If you're not somebody that like is already like, I guess, kind of like in a financial position where you can afford like 30,000 a trading account, 40,000, 50,000 a trading account, whatever the case might be is, right? That's kind of like, it'll be, I don't want to say it'll be easier because everyone still has to go through those emotions, but like definitely when you trade low risk, it'll be a lot more sustainable for you to make sure your emotions are at bay versus me giving somebody who's never even seen like 10 grand in a checking account, using $50,000 trading account. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, everybody's, you know, very different. Everyone's situation is also very different as well. I've seen people with huge money come into the market and they blow 200, 300, even $1 million trading accounts and like, you know, whatever. It's not that big of a deal to me. You know, what $100,000 might mean to me might mean pennies to the next guy, you know, and it's just everybody's situation is very different. Everyone's gonna have a very different journey. And ultimately, again, like when it comes down to like risk, you're the one that has to identify risk, what you do tolerate versus what you don't tolerate so well, you know?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why I've always thought like just having a good base, especially like passive income in real estate, definitely helps your trading.
I promise you, like a lot of people, like their initial like goal and dream is to have trading replace their income. But like the reality of the situation is if you have other streams of income, right? And you don't rely on your trading capital or your trading kind of income anymore, it'll be so much easier. Because
Exactly.
about all of the stress that you're gonna put on yourself. Let's say, right, and although it's definitely possible, people do it, you know, I don't want to say all the time, but people definitely do it where they completely, you know, quit their job and they're only full-time trading, right? But trading is their only source of income. Think about all the stress you're going to be going through a losing streak, because a losing streak will come, right? Think about all the emotion you're going to go through. Fuck, I got to pay my FPL bill, I got to pay my phone bill, I got to pay my car bill, I got to pay my mortgage, right? But I'm in a losing streak right now. This is my only source of income, right? That is going to cause you to make decisions that you normally wouldn't have made if you wouldn't have had like, or if you would have had like those other sources of income that are covering those expenses. Your mindset is going to be so much, you're going to be in a better logical state of mind if you have other streams of income that are covering like your expenses. And it's like, okay, trading is just like an investment and it is a passion of mine and I'm getting paid for a passion of mine. It's going to be a lot easier for you that way. So do I always recommend like, you know, right, once you've covered like, you know, 12 months of your expenses through trading income to just quit your job? No, you want to reinvest into other businesses. This is what's going to be put on like the day trading institution, like the level up section of the course, right? You want to reinvest into other businesses that are going to cover your expenses, right? So you don't have to work again, you know, create as much passive income as you possibly can. So then you can have like a clearer path when it comes down to trading, you know?
Yeah.
Ultimately, right? Let's say you work a regular job, a 9 to 5 job, and let's call it, you know, I mean, everybody gets paid different on a 9 to 5 job, but let's call it like, you know, you're very comfortable at your 9 to 5 job and you're making, I don't know, 100 grand a year, right? Now, let's say with trading, you're making 200,000 a year. Instead of quitting your job and just making 200,000 a year, you could potentially be making 300,000 a year. You know what I mean? Just by doing both, and then build that passive income as much as you possibly can to cover your expenses, and then just focus on trading.
And ultimately it helps your trading. So your trading does even better.
Exactly, because you're not like, I need to make money, right? Once you have like the mindset of I need to make money and you're coming into the markets, you're most likely gonna lose it.
You're done, yeah. Imagine you're like in a trade and you're like, oh shit, this is the rent money.
And you know, you completely like throw trading out the window. Like, let's say like, I don't know, your rent is 3 grand, right? And you're on an FTMO account and you're up 3 grand and you're trading like 100K. So you're up 3%, but you're risking 3%. You're like, you know, I'm up 1 to 1. This is my rent. I could kind of close this, pay my rent for the month. You know, it's going to cause you to be like close. Then you see price go in your favor and you could have potentially made 12,000. You're like, bro, fuck, why did I close?
And next thing you come in the market and you lose 3%.
The next trade you come back into the market, you lose 3%, you know? So like,
Crazy.
you want to keep trading like as clean and clear like as possible. Like there's been times like in my trading where like for instance, like I had my mortgage covered for the next like 4 years where I didn't have to worry about my mortgage. I went into the market, I'm like, I don't need to make money, right? Whatever I make is whatever I make, and that's dope. And that mindset has like completely like excelled my trading to the next level, just because I don't have like a need to come in the market to make money. It's kind of like, the way I see things is like more like, it is what it is. If I make 50 grand, great. If I make a 250,000, great. If I make 10 grand, great. Like, this is not money that I need anymore, you know?
You can even set and forget.
Really,
There's no way you can set and forget if you're like, if you got the rent money in there.
yeah.
Like, there's no way.
The way I see things, obviously, like, you know, as you mature as like a trader, things will get a lot easier. But, you know, if you can have like other sources of income cover your expenses, so then you can just kind of focus on trading and not rely on trading income to pay for your things, you'll probably get to where you want to be a lot faster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Not to say that, you know, because I've seen, I mean, there's so many different like trading stories and trading journeys out there. Like, I was talking to this one guy who trades index funds. So he trades the Dow Jones, he trades the S&P 500 only. That's it. I think he trades on NinjaTrader, right? He had turned, I believe, he was working a 9 to 5 job, I think, like as an engineer. I don't remember how much he was selling. He was probably making like 200,000 a year, I think, from what he told me. He invested like 75,000, I think, within the next, like, he told me like 8-9 months, he turned those 75 grand to over like $3 million. And then at that point in time, he's like, bro, you know, 3 mil is 3 mil. I'm gonna invest. I think he told me he invested like a bunch of money to real estate. I forgot, to just kind of like cover his expenses, and he just focused on trading. I don't know what his accounts are right now, but imagine turning 75,000 into $3 million in the span of like 10 months.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy because you can, if done correctly, you can leverage real estate a lot.
Yeah,
And just passively, you'll be so good that you can trade. I mean, whatever you're making passively, you can just trade that and it's not going to affect you because you know that money's coming in at the end of the month for
Yep.
sure.
exactly. And like the thing about trading is like, there's no like one right way. You know what I mean? Because I'll give you the example, right? Let's say a 200K account costs $1,000, right? You go into the market, you blow a 200K challenge account 10 times, right? So you lose 10 grand. On your 11th time, right? Market conditions are different. You then make like a 10, 20, 30% return. You make 10, 20, 30, maybe even 40 grand on that trading account, right? You made back those $10,000 plus an extra $30,000 on top. So net, you're in profit. You know, like, there's so many different stories. Like, once you get the skill set, all the money that you've invested or all the money that you've potentially lost is going to be made back plus way more, you know?
Sure. Yeah, there's just so many ways, man.
Bro, there's so many different ways. There's no, that's why the trading, like, there's no like one right way, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I know. So I have a close friend of mine out there in New York, and he knows this Indian guy that he's like an engineer, and he has like a 12.5. No, actually, it's like 20 now, $20 million trading account. But he's
Crazy.
like, yeah, he's like I think it's like an options trader. All he does is trade Netflix, Facebook, the FANG stocks. That's all he trades on options. And he lives in like I think it's a Trump Plaza out there. So his rent's like 20 grand a month. And he does no other investments. It's all just trading income.
Crazy.
I was like, yo, this guy must be like a monk or something.
Yo,
Like, this guy must like meditate every 2 hours.
there's like, there's no one right way in trading. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just everyone's different, you know.
Yeah,
He can bear it. Some people can't.
exactly. So you just, again, like, you gotta find like your personality, and you have to make your trading around your own personality, you know? That's where the learning curve comes in. Not technical analysis, because again, technical analysis is a skill, right? But understanding who you are as an individual and how your personality traits are going to reflect into the market is the hard part. That's what takes time to learn.
Yeah, that's true. That's where the mastery is.
Because like, again, like, you could trade just S&P, the Dow Jones and NAS, and make a killing just trading those 3 pairs. But again, what takes time is the psychology portion of trading.
Yeah, that's true. Cause you can always say like, I can get in here and get out there, but question is when you're in the trade, you know?
Yeah, literally. You know, and you'll see like a lot of different traders that trade completely different markets that are successful have a lot of the simple general concepts kind of like all together in terms of like price breaks to high, support and resistance. Like that's a lot of what I see people focus on the most. You know, but again, everybody trades differently. Everybody's different. You know, we can all take the same setup with the same exact trading account, right? Let's say I give Jeff 100K, Nelson, you have 100K, and I have 100K in a trading account. We take the same exact setup, right? We're not going to get out at the same price, although we may have the same target, right? Jeff might make more than I do, and then you might make more than Jeff does, right? It's all so different because again, we're all different individuals. Although we all bought right here and our target was right here. You may have closed here, I may have closed here, Jeff may have closed up here, you know?
That's true. That's actually what makes trading so interesting too.
Yep. While other people, you know, are selling right here, you know,
Yeah,
everybody's different. You just gotta, again, identify who you are and then see how that reflects on the charts. Because if you're like a person that's kind of like impatient, that's gonna reflect onto the charts. If you're a person that's not disciplined, that's gonna reflect onto the charts, you know? And then again, like, just because, like, let's say you're not a disciplined person, right, in your general life, right? Just because you may try and act disciplined onto the markets, you know, you may need to change like those characteristics of discipline in your own personal life as well. So then that can also reflect into the markets.
so the charts are like a mirror of your personality, essentially.
Bro, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. And like, bro, like there's just so many like different variables, like when it comes to trading, like you could have made like, I don't know, $250,000 in 3 months, let's call it. All it takes is one trade and one bad decision to wipe out all of those profits. By the time you looked at it, you're like, damn, I just completely wiped out 3 months of hard work in the single trade. And sometimes some people need to go through and experience that pain before, you know, really changing for the better at least.
yeah,
People may never experience that. But honestly, like the way I see things is the people that do experience that, right, have already gone through it and learned from that mistake versus the person that's never experienced it. Because imagine, like, I'm pretty sure everybody's made that mistake, right? But imagine like the individual that runs up like 50,000 to like 2 million, and then they've never experienced, you know, something like that. They kind of just got, I don't want to say lucky, but they just had a really good streak. They ran 50 grand up to 2 million, and then out of those 2 million, they blow 1.5 or blow 1.6 in the span of a few trades because they never dealt with those emotions before. Versus the individual that's like, I already fucked up there, I'm not going through that pain again.
yeah, some people have to experience that.
Yeah, some people.
Like the guy that I know that he turned like 30 grand into 1.5 in Bitcoin. He's still holding it.
Bro, bro, like,
He's like, no, I'm not gonna sell. It's gonna go back up.
that's what I'm saying, bro. And you know, maybe eventually it will, but you know,
Yeah.
you could have cashed out 1.5,
Exactly. You gotta cash out at one.
cashed out 1.4, left 100K in, and then redumped another like million and kept 500K. And you could redump a million like at the low right now, 20K, you know?
Yeah.
It made even more by the time it went right back up.
An expensive lesson to learn.
Yep.
Crazy. I mean, with all his losses, he could have just bought a Bugatti and forgot about Bitcoin. And his money would be secure in that Bugatti.
Literally. It's
It's
crazy.
crazy. Insane.
like I said, like everybody's gonna have their own journey, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Usually, how do you usually like deal with like losing streaks? Do you kind of like cut back or?
I definitely try and cut back as much as I like possibly can. And like when it comes to like losing streaks, I'll tend to see why I'm taking those losses. Sometimes they may just be like normal losses. And I make sure like those aren't like errors that I'm doing where I'm either like, you know, because like you have like good losses where it's just a loss, right? And then you have bad losses where you caused that loss, while they're closing a position early while it's in the loss, you didn't stick to your stop loss, or you didn't analyze the market properly, you know, those are all, you know, different variables. So I like to identify if it was either a good loss or if it was a bad loss. If it was a bad loss, why was it a bad loss? How can I avoid that mistake the next time? Oh, I decided to have a tight stop loss. Well, there you go. You know, that's why it was a loss, because it was a tight stop loss. Did I get back into the market after that? Yes or no? Did I make the loss back? Like there's so many different variables, but ultimately, like when it comes down to like losing streaks, right? You just gotta understand how you as an individual could recover from that losing streak and what makes you the trader that's gonna be able to recover from that losing streak. Because the way I may deal with like losing streaks will be different from how you deal with losing streaks. I may brush it off like whatever, you know, it's part of the game. Versus you might be like sick, you know, because you're in a losing streak. You don't know how to get out of it. You may feel overwhelmed and stressed out. But ultimately, like it's just like, you know, it's part of the game. I know at some point in time I'm gonna lose more trades than I win. It's how can I come back from that? You know, how can I recover from this more importantly?
Yeah, everyone deals with it different.
Yeah. I wish there would be like an easy step-by-step guide on how you could recover from losing streaks. But again, like the way I might handle losses is gonna be complete from how you handle losses. The question you want to ask yourself is, one, you definitely don't want to get discouraged. The best thing to do is ask yourself is how can I recover from this?
Yeah, that's
What
true.
mistakes was I making that I could avoid in the future? So I don't make those same mistakes again.
Yeah. There's also the suicide hotline.
Literally. Literally. Yeah. Yeah. So does anybody have anything they would like me to discuss? Or go over? For the webinar? Or is everybody like, everybody's good, everybody's ready? You know, you're hyped up.
I've been ready.
Yeah, I could tell.
They're like fish and spaghetti.
So Ron, are you gonna move to an apartment?
No, I actually rented a house in my area. It's a little bit smaller square footage wise. It has one less bedrooms. But I think the house is a house that suits me a little bit more. Obviously it's rent, so it's not mine. But I'm still pocketing, you know, the profit, which is over 100% return from what I've invested into my own current profit or into my own current property. And like, I don't know why I see like my trader mindset reflecting into like, again, like other areas of my life. Like my dad and well, not my mom, but my dad is like, no, you know, it's your primary residence, like you own it. You know what I mean? You could do whatever you want, your house, your rules. But I'm like, okay, I invested 350, 360, $400,000 to this property, and I could profit 600K plus get my $400,000 back. Like that's like my trader mindset kind of like coming in, because that's an over 100% ROI by living, just literally just living, doing nothing. So like my plans for like my own property was like, I'm just gonna rent this crib, be chilling for the next year. If I want to renew the lease next 2 years, whatever the case might be, is because the person that's renting me the property is actually my girlfriend's like close friend, right? And I mean the house is like insane. I think I mean I can show you guys pictures, but the house is insane. And while that's being done, I'm gonna go buy land, maybe a little bit more up north from my area, And then just use the land as collateral to just build, you know, the dream house that I want. You know what I mean? But that's gonna take time too.
That's a much better idea.
Yeah, instead of buying, you know, a house in an inflated market, you know, I was looking at all my different options because there's another house in the same community for sale for like 2.3 million. But then I was thinking about it, it's like, you know, I could just take this like $200,000, maybe even $400,000 in the long term, like lease, because that's what it would cost me to live there. The rent's like 15,000 a month, right? And at the end of the year, that's gonna cost me like 180 grand, but I don't gotta pay HOA. All I gotta really pay for is FPL, internet, and that's about it. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna pay the year up front, right? So I don't even have to worry about a monthly payment, nothing. Just write her the check, here's $180,000. Don't talk to me for the next year, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, in the meantime, like the way I see things is like, bro, what I made this month alone just from trading is already covered like 50%, over 50% of what I'd be renting. And then I'm just pretty much gonna use the money that I made from the house and just go buy a lot, use the loan, or use the property as collateral for the building. And then who knows, you know, by the time, let's say the building gets appraised, my house gets appraised, you know, it cost me maybe 1.5, 2 million to build, but then you get it appraised and it's worth 3, 4 million, you know, depending on the type of house I want to go for.
Yeah, it's much better. And
Yeah,
it's like people, I think people kind of tend to overcomplicate things.
yeah,
And like, you know, it's super easy to just go to a realtor and just be like, oh, I want this house, and then just put the down payment and then boom, you're done.
yeah. I don't
When you
know.
do construction, it's not even that hard.
Yeah,
Like,
like when I was speaking to like my realtor and like other friends that I have in real estate, literally, I have to just buy the lot and I go and I use the lot as collateral for the down or for the building. That's like, I was like,
that's your down payment. Yep.
I'm like, it's that simple. They're like, yeah. I'm like, bro, that's obviously a no-brainer. Cause I can get like a 2-acre lot in Broward in like this area called like Southwest Ranches, where the houses there, like, bro, it's insane. Like you have celebrities that have cribs there, like
That's
$10 million.
down payment.
And for like a 2-acre lot, bro, it's like 750,000, $800,000, depending on the lot itself. And I just build whatever I want on top of it, you know? You know what my problem would be though is I would build the house, right? Let's say it cost me all in 1.5 million, it comes back appraised, I don't know, 2.3, 2.4 million. I'd be like, yo, that's 700K profit. Fuck that, I'm gonna sell this shit.
Yeah, that's that trader mentality.
I don't know why. I'm not like emotionally connected to properties like I guess like the older generation is. Like I see a profit, I'm like, yo, I'm done. I'm out of
Yeah,
here.
me neither. Like in real estate, I see it, I take it.
It's like, yeah, I'm like, yo, I'm out of here. You know, like enjoy my crib, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the way I see things. I don't know why. It's just, I guess like that's what trading did for me. I mean, eventually, like I'm gonna want my own like place, you know. But as of right now, like I like to like move around and stuff, you know. So I feel like um I don't know, maybe renting would be like the best option for me like right now. Cause like I'm not worried about like the finances too much. So I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you know, if you're renting, you're just throwing money away. But it's like, bro, like, you know, I make money other places, you know. I'll,
Yeah.
you know, it's not,
Depends on your situation. It all depends.
yeah, you know.
Like the way I got into new construction, it was like 5, 6 years ago. I saw people like at my job that they were pretty much they were building their own houses and they didn't know anything about real estate. Nothing. I mean, they were just going, getting the lot, and the builders, they give you all this information. Hey, look, get a lot here. This is better. They're giving you all those details. And you know, I mean, I saw people that were building houses for 300 grand that are now probably sitting on what 600,000 in equity, 700,000.
Yeah,
I
that's what I'm
mean,
saying. It's,
it's a no-brainer.
yeah, that's the route I'm gonna take.
Yeah.
Hey, Raul,
Yeah.
how long were you trading for FTMO until you left them?
Bro, to be honest, like I didn't really need the FTMO to begin with. But I just did it because like I wanted to challenge myself and prove to the public, like, if I could do it, you could do it. You know, what's stopping you from making 100, what did I make, like 170K on an FTMO account? You know, if I did it, why can't you do it? You know,
Got it.
really like the only reason why I went on to FTMO to begin with.
Mhm.
Somebody did already. Got paid $500,000.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah. But the guy was training since 2012.
it's crazy.
I think another dude just got like a 700K payout, or he went above the other dude. It's like 757, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
Oh, yeah?
I think so, yeah, pretty sure.
I mean, imagine, you know,
That's freaking nuts.
That's over $1 million almost.
Sheesh.
FTM will be like, we broke now. We can't pay you guys.
nah, bro, FTMO's probably pumping millions a month.
Yeah. I guess that guy who gave you the interview round, I guess he don't work there no more. I don't see him no more. No interview.
Yeah, I don't see him there either. I haven't seen him there in a minute.
He was a cool guy. I don't like the new guy who went to it.
Yeah,